Hey, what's up, guys? Your boy Banz here, back again with a delicious video. And today I'm going to be watching another video. In today's video, we're going to be watching the true facts of crows that hunt with sticks. So apparently this is another video that I was requested called Z Franks. Well, he call himself Z Franks. But yeah, this video was suggested, so I'm like, you know what? Might as well give it a shot, you know what I'm saying? Might as well check it out. But of course, with all that being said, let's hop straight into it.
This episode sponsored by Brilliant. Learn to think. Let me tell you about New Caledonian crows. Now, I'm not talking about the old Caledonian crows. Those ones were idiots. No, the New Caledonian crows live on a group of islands called New Caledonia. Must be named after the crows. One thing that New Caledonia has plenty of is wood, but what they don't have is woodpeckers. And that means there are plenty of insects and insects' larvae living in that wood that have not been pecked. And these are perfectly good snacks for a bird that might have at them. However, for the crow, the girth of their beakedness, as well as a distaste for smashing their heads repeatedly into things, has no doubt driven them into a certain cleverness. New Caledonian crows may not have suitable peckers, but what they do have is crow sticks. These crows have figured out how to use sticks to fish around for grubs and other things that have burrowed into logs and branches. Now, this by itself isn't that much of an achievement. Old Caledonian crows used sticks, but all they did with them was poke each other in the butt. I mean, it was funny. They were voted most fun crow the year they figured that out. Then they all starved to death. Anyway, when they're young, New Caledonia...
Sorry for the audio in the background. Okay. I understand this will be an interesting video about crows, but how do we go from bird dick to shanking each other in the ass? Okay, all right, that just happened.
Caledonian crowlets learn how to make and use sticks from their parents and other adult crows. Here, the one in the middle is the baby, and you can see the adult on the left leave a stick for the young one to take a turn with. But it isn't just about finding the right size stick and sticking it in a hole. These crow sticks are often shaped in a...
Okay, I get what this video is all about. It's just one of the videos that you just gotta expect to always just go off the rails real quick. Because rather than saying bird sticks, he said bird. Okay.
A very specific way. I mean, before we even get to sticks, you can see what they do with the leaves of the pandanus. On the right there, you can see a tear started by a crow, but what they're really up to is making these. The one on the left is a sort of basic instrument that takes advantage of the serrated edge of the leaf. The one on the right, though, is made by a different group of crows and is more of a complex Swiss Army knife. You got something for any hole. Now, these leaf tools are well and good, but if you want to make yourself a crow stick, it's going to depend on what you need it for. Listen, if all you're going to do is poke a spider, and we've all been there, I'm not going to try to sell you a fancy crow stick. All you need is something that puts some distance between you and said spider when you poke it. And listen, you don't need the top-of-the-line stick to hunt for the larvae of wood-boring beetles. Now, the trick with those is you keep poking them in the head with whatever you got. Eventually, they just bite the end of the stick and you can pull them right out. But if you're going after something that doesn't just bite the end of the stick and has wedged itself all up in some tree cranny, I mean, then you need yourself a fancy crow stick. And let me tell you, that's a process. First, you have to cut yourself a little section off a plant. Now, it doesn't look like much, but the location of these first cuts are crucial. And that's because not every crow stick is a straight shaft. Many of them have a hook on the end. One way they make these hooks is first finding a fork in the stem of a plant. From there, you can see this one cuts one of the branches right above the joint, and then the next cut is on the stem right below the joint. All right, this one seems to be having a little trouble with that cut. But here, you can see how those two cuts leave you with...
No, he said, hey, okay, this one seemed to be struggling with this cock. All right. Oh my God, no. He said this one seemed to be struggling with this cock. All right.
Roughly a hook shape. There's a more boss way to do it, which this one's demonstrating. You just grab one of the branches above the joint and tug on it really hard. Apparently, if you do it right, you get that hook shape without all the cutting. Anyway, once they've gotten to this point, it's time to clean things up a bit. remove any extra twigs or leaves that might be in the way. But often these crows will also strip the bark off the business end of that stick, and this might have a couple benefits. First, it makes it smoother so there's less friction when you use it, but it also makes it lighter in color so the crow can see what's going on down in the hole. And seeing what they're doing is quite important for these crows. New Caledonian crows have these large forward-facing eyes. This means there's a greater area of binocular vision, where what the right eye and left eye can see overlap. In addition, these crows have beaks that are fairly straight instead of being curved downward, and this means that unlike their close relatives, if they grab a tool with their beak, it will be in the area where they have binocular vision. Now, they can hold their crow stick in a few different ways. For a very small hole, they might hold it off to the side. That way you can get at least one eye really close. But what they often do is point it forward but sort of hold it on one side, bracing the back on their cheek, and having it face forward gives them more options to see what's going on. And this is what the last step in making a crow stick is all about. The crow bends the shaft so there's a nice curve in it, which helps them keep that hook tip where they can focus on it. And that right there is a damn good crow stick. And the crows know it too. When they make fine hook tools like that, they don't just leave them around willy-nilly. Here's a camera angle that you don't see all that often, outside of pornography and crow research, apparently. Anyway, science.
Sir, what kind of, all I gotta say is, sir, what kind of videos are you watching? Because whatever videos you watching, you might have to send me a couple of those. I'm just playing. Don't do that, please. Please, for the love of God, please. Don't send me any videos of animal pornography. Please don't send me that.
Hippies put a camera on the bird's tail feathers so they could see how they're using these tools close up. After they use a high-value tool, one that they put a little elbow grease into, they hold on to it with their little feet while they eat. But come on, old Caledonian crows could make hooks too, but they would put the hook end in their mouths and pretend they were caught fish. Voted best impression of a fish in Crow magazine that year. And then they all exploded. Jerry, I thought you said they starved to death. Oh, because they were exploded. No, Jerry, not being able to eat because you've been exploded is not a cause of death. It's... never mind. Listen, if you want to get smart like a crow bee, there's a free and easy way to learn about math, science, and computer science on Brilliant. There's thousands of interactive lessons to chillify them. Go at your feel for a free description. And where were we? Oh, right.
There you go.
Perhaps more impressive than making these tools in the wild to hunt for grubs and such is this crow's ability to use the idea of a hook to solve a new problem. Here there's a bucket of food with a handle on it down a tube. The crow is given a straight metal stick, and watch what it does with it. Bends the metal and then pulls that bucket right out. So I guess the question is, how smart are these little f***ers? And how do you figure out what those little noggins are capable of? I mean, at this rate, they're gonna steal all of our tiny buckets. Won't have anything to put your weed in. First off, it's not just all about hooks. They're very good at selecting the right tool for a job, the right length or diameter, and if it's not right, they'll modify it. In this case, it means thinning out a stick so it can be fit through a hole to push a little cup off a ledge. And there you have it, all that work paid off. Now it's time to, oh shit, that one's the even smarter crow. But what about multi-step problems? In this case, the food is pushed way back in that front tube there, which comes equipped with a woefully short stick. Betty, that's her name, has to use the short stick to get a medium stick, and then a medium stick to get a long stick. And only then, when she's trying to figure out how she ended up in this escape room/restaurant, can she eat her food. Anyway, straight A's for Betty. Now this crow, Pierre, same challenge, but he tries to skip a step, trying to use the shortest tool to get the longest tool. When that doesn't work, he gets pissed off and flies away, only to come back with a natural stick he found, which is the right size to get the long stick. Honestly, I don't know which one ought to hire. I mean, Betty certainly listens better, but Pierre's got some pluck. But in this one, they can always see all the tools that are available. What happens when they can't? So in this restaurant, the food comes out if you drop a stone into that tube. Luckily, around the corner, there's a stone, but it's pushed way back inside another tube. Keep going and you find basically the same thing, except this time it has a stick in it, also out of reach. This one's a curveball meant to distract the crow. You don't need it because around the corner, there's a stick lying right in the open. Once it finds that, it knows exactly what to do. Take the stick to the stone and the stone to the food, while it ignores the unnecessary stick-in-a-tube distraction, so it seems like they can keep track of those steps in their head. Kerplunk, num-nums. And they tried this all sorts of different ways, changing the order of things, adding distractions and short...
I'm gonna say right now, Now I see why crows are unpredictable as hell. Bro, crows are like I feel like when it comes to their intelligence, they're not dumb as people would think they are. They're actually very smart. Like they know how to strategize and everything. Like imagine if a crow had like I think like crows are like the equivalent of humans, but bird form. But even though they're not as intelligent, but it's only because their brains are not capable of processing as much as we can. But if they could process as much as we can within their small heads, dude, that would be dangerous.
Cuts, and the crows were able to hold it all in their heads and come up with the right solution. And if you think these crows are getting a little pissed off having to go through all this hoopla, think again. They seem to get some intrinsic pleasure out of using tools that goes beyond the food reward. After using a tool, they become more optimistic, and this could be a key to why they keep figuring new shit out. Like if you give them parts that fit together, they can build new compound tools. In this scenario, the sticks they're given are too short, but along with those sticks, there's parts of syringes scattered around, like the tubes and the plungers. It's like Venice Beach. And without being shown, these crows figured out how to put these pieces together to create a long enough tool. But what if they...
Why do I feel like there was a joke there? Can one of you guys tell me what he meant by Venice Beach? You know what? Never mind.
Really just good at sticks and don't really understand cause and effect, for example. One question is whether they can use their smarts to figure out new tools in situations they're not used to. There's an Aesop's fable about a crow that uses pebbles to raise the water level in a pitcher. And New Caledonian crows do seem to learn how to do this to raise a bit of food floating in a tube. Now, to see if the crow really understood what was happening, they tried a few things. For example, giving them a wider tube and then an easier to fill narrow tube to see which one they'd go for. They gave him an option of a tube filled with sand, I guess to weed out the idiots. Oh, and this one's interesting. They had a setup where one of the outside tubes is connected to a center tube, but out of sight under the table. And the crow had to figure out which tube to put the rocks in. Anyway, the results of all this seem to be a mixed bag. These crows can certainly learn how to use new tools for new goals, but they might just be using trial and error without having a real understanding. So they can do quite a bit solo. What about working together? All right, so you separate two crows, but you put a box thing between them. One crow has to pass a stone under a fence to another crow. That crow then drops the stone into a hole, and then they both get food. Not a problem. Now we'll mix...
Despite how goofy this video has been, bro, this just proves my point that crows are smart as hell. They are not to be underestimated, bro. They can learn, dude. And the fact that they literally get optimistic, damn, I spin. The fact they get optimistic about learning stuff like this is just how human beings should be a little bit. Like, bro, be optimistic. Like, be willing to test, to do trial and error until you learn something brand new. But brand new, I should say. Not grand new. That sounds kind of weird.
Mix it up a bit. In this one, that first crow can make a choice. It can use its stone to get a lower value treat, dog food, or it can pass the stone over to collaborate and get the good stuff. And look at that, they choose the good stuff. Problem is, even if there's no second crow to pass the stone to, they often still try to pass the stone anyways. I mean, nobody wants to eat dog food. Ravens, also in the crow family, can learn to pull on strings together to get treats. And they can learn to wait for each other and have preferences on who they want to collaborate with first. And during all these experiments, you know the crows are studying the people too. And if you're a dick to a crow, they'll remember. In this one, for example, the crow is trained to go get a piece of bread and then exchange it for a piece of cheese. But then they introduce a new person who totally reneges on the deal. Look at that, pops the cheese into their own mouth. It's so cold. Anyway, given a choice, even a month later, that crow won't make any more cheese deals with that person. And neither should you. I mean, it makes sense. In the wild, these birds have to navigate some complex social scenes. And that starts with good communication. And they've got good hardware for it. A syrinx, which looks like a failed prototype of a condom. But this is some real deal equipment that lets them do all sorts of things.
Oh, shit, I like a dick. All right.
Communicate with each other, with birds of other species. And listen, members of the crow family are excellent mimics.
Bone, giant bone in it.
Hi. Hi. You alright? You alright?
And we're back.
You alright?
So with all these abilities, what are they up to? What are they talking about,
so they're
right?
capable of
Well, let's have a look at this charming scene. All right, this one here is Red.
In a way
She's the
similar to
dominant
humans.
female carrion crow
They
in
can
this
mimic.
joint. So she makes a call to this one over here whose code name is Yellow. Yellow responds, has a little head bob, but then listen to Red. All right, the science hippies hadn't heard this sound before, but apparently it's some mafia level shit, because after that, Red and Yellow team up on another bird, chasing it around and eventually pinning it on the ground and pecking at it. Another bird, a bystander, is all freaked out and tries to stop it, but unfortunately the next morning the victim is dead. And this happens in the wild too. A dominant crow will recruit others to get rid of the competition. Now when a crow dies or is found dead, it's a whole thing. You're right, Jerry, this one does look exploded. Now in this shot, a science hippie has put a dead preserved crow on the ground. This dead crow is unknown to the local crows, but they all come to check it out. Sometimes it's referred to as a funeral but brain scans have shown that the part of their brain that lights up is the decision-making part. They're trying to figure out what happened. It's not a funeral. Oh, all right, the one seems to be having its way with the corpse. And then there's one doing it with that crow.
Whoa!
But anyways, you can see...
Whoa! Oh, no. No, bro. Okay, hold up. No, bro, dude out here getting some bird pussy on top of some... Okay. Bro, the bird gussy. He getting the pussy. No, not pussy. The bird pussy on the dead crow. No, they doing doggy style.
It's not a funeral. I mean, at least not like the kind I've been to. I mean, I'm open to... No, actually, I'm not.
Nope.
I mean, it really changed the decision-making around an open casket.
Don't suggest anything.
I mean, the old Caledonian crows, they had some funerals. Like the real deal voted best funerals. And then they were all donged to death. Jerry, what does that even mean, donged to death? Will I assume being hit by a dong? Oh, many dongs. No, I'm not challenging you. I just haven't heard of it. Wait.
Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to watch some more of his videos. Bruh, I don't understand why he kept saying bird dicks bird sticks, bruh. Come on. I mean, it's funny. But, dog, come on, dude. Alright. You guys know what to do. Make sure you hit that like, comment, and subscribe, alright? Hit all the sections up and show how much you love this channel. Because, I'm sure in the hell's going to enjoy this. Because, first of all, Sprite soda. Damn. Oh, shit, excuse me. I'm so sorry. And, yeah, we're going to definitely watch some more Z Frank, so make sure you hit the notification button for that. But, yep, that was Z Frank's True Facts, Crows That Hunts with Dicks. And, I'll catch you guys in the next video, alright? See y'all later.
Did this also happen after they'd been...